Okay, so Unit 5 is this is the video for Unit 5, and what we're going to learn about today in Unit 5 and probably the next 2 or 3 units after this is how to collect and create your own data. We've already I've given you data for the first 4 labs, and you've learned how to use raster, vector, how to load in shape files, how to project them, how to make a good cartographic product, a map with your north arrow, scale bar, and legend. And so what we're going to learn now is how to create your own data, whether it be raster or vector. So the first thing we're going to learn is how to georeference whether an image, an aerial photo, a topo map, whatever it might be. You know, I've given you all of this data, whether it be an aerial photo, topo map, precipitation data, you know, what the aerial imagery you use in ArcGIS Online, like we're looking at now on my screen. All that data just doesn't appear as much as we would like that to be the case. Someone actually had to fly the airplane and take the picture of this aerial photo, and then someone had to take this picture and tell the GIS where in the world this picture exists. And the way they do that is georeferencing. So someone actually took this aerial photo that you're looking at now and clicked in some control points somewhere and told the GIS that this particular photo exists in this particular area on the globe. And so we're going to learn how to do that first, and then after that we're going to learn how to digitize and create your own shape files, whether that be points, lines, or polygons. So what I'm going to go through and what your lab has you go through is I'm going to give you an old photo or a picture of a map of Casper College, and we are going to georeference this map so that the GIS knows exactly where this thing or this map exists. Okay? So the first thing I've done is I've pulled up ArcMap. I've loaded in the world imagery from ArcGIS Online, and I'm going to hit my Add Data button. I'm going to go to the folder where my data is, and obviously I will put this data on Moodle for you when the time comes for Unit 5 to start. But for me, my data is going to exist under my folder connections, which I have none right now because my login was redone by the IT department yesterday, so I need to make a new connection here. Let's see. So I need to go to My Documents, Classes, Geog 1100. And this particular data that I'm going to use is in my Week 7 folder, so just kind of ignore that. All of this stuff that you guys are going to be doing is going to be Unit 5. But I'm going to load in my Week 7 folder, I have this Campus TIFF picture. Now you'll notice when I load this in, we get the famous missing spatial reference information. Now what does this mean? Now hopefully all of you by now know that what this means is this particular piece of data that I'm trying to add to ArcMap does not have a projection. So basically ArcGIS does not know where this thing goes in the world. Okay? And what we're going to do is georeference it and tell GIS where it goes. All right. So I'm just going to click OK to that warning. It added the map to my table of contents, and it's a map of Casper College. And again, it should be popping up in this area where the college is, but because this particular picture does not have a projection, ArcGIS doesn't know where to put it. So again, if I right click on this and say zoom to layer, and it takes a little bit for this to draw. So this, again, this is an old map. Let's say we got this out of an old magazine that the college has, and we want to use this old data to compare it to the new aerial photo. It's pretty hard for us to compare it because, as we can see, and if we zoom out here, this picture of Casper College is out in the ocean. And if I keep zooming out, we can see it's out in the Atlantic Ocean somewhere. Off the coast of Africa. Obviously, we know this picture isn't there. This picture should be somewhere where Casper is. So we're going to fix that by georeferencing it. So I've added in the picture that I want to georeference. The first thing I want to do is I need to add in my georeferencing toolbar. So I'm going to go to, not geoprocessing, I want to go to Customize. Customize Toolbars, Georeferencing. And this is the georeferencing toolbar, and I'm just going to dock this up here. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to change my map to a projection that I want to use. Right now, my data frame, if I double-click Layers and go to Coordinate System, the projection my data frame in is WGS84 Web Mercator. Again, that is because the first piece of data I added to my map was the world imagery, and that's what that is projected in, so therefore my data frame is projected in that. Since we're going to be making a map of Casper College and georeferencing a picture of Casper College, let's pick something that's more appropriate. For example, we might pick UTM 83 Zone 13 North. So I'm going to change my data frame to that projection. Okay. I'm going to zoom in on North America. And I'm going to zoom in on Casper here and get back to Casper College. Okay, so we're back here at the college. The next thing we need to do before we georeference is we need to determine what could we use for control points to georeference this campus TIFF image. So let me right click on this again and say zoom to layer. And so we can see in this old image of the college that we've got buildings in here, we've got streets, and that's really about all we have. So the best thing we could use to georeference this image, in my opinion, would be maybe the street corners or intersections, but probably the corner of buildings. And when you georeference an image, you need at least 4 control points. I'm trying to get my fingers here in the window. 4 control points. And they need to be sort of spread out. So you can spread out among the image so that you can get the image as close to where it should be on the earth as possible. Okay, so a pretty prominent building here on this old map of Casper College is the old administration building. Notice Gateway and Union are not even on this map yet. Neither are the new dorms. So there's been a lot of changes to Casper College in the last 5 to 10 years for sure. But I'm going to probably use a control point down at the admin building, maybe one here at the Energy Institute, maybe another one here at the library, and then maybe one at Crampert Theater, and try to spread these points out. Okay, so I'm going to pick a control point. You always start with the image you want to georeference first. Okay, always start with that first. So I'm going to zoom in on the admin building here. Now, notice as I zoom in on this picture, I got this map of Casper College out of a book, okay, or out of an old catalog or magazine that was laying around. Notice how pixelated it is. The way I can't talk this morning. The way I got this picture of Casper College in electronic form is I took the magazine and I scanned this piece of paper. Now, I purposely used a low dots per inch or DPI because I wanted you guys to see what it's like to try to georeference something that has a low dots per inch. It's really fuzzy looking. If I were to redo this and do this over, I would probably up the dots per inch on my scanner so that this image was more clear and I would be more accurate with my georeferencing. But I did this on purpose just so you guys can kind of see what it's like. So to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to pick this northeast corner of the admin building here. Okay, and you may need to zoom in or out and find the best resolution. So I'm going to get it to where kind of I want it. I'm going to go up to my georeferencing toolbar, make sure that what I want to georeference is highlighted here in this window. And then I'm going to click the button that says Add Control Points. And I'm going to try to find that corner the best that I can. And it looks to me it's probably about right there. Okay? Alright, now what I'm going to do is I am going to hit my back to previous extent. And I think if I hit it a couple more times, it'll get me back to where Casper College is. Yep, there we are. Now I'm going to zoom in on that using the roller ball on my mouse. I'm going to zoom in, or you could use the zoom in, zoom out tools here that we're used to using. Okay, I'm going to try and find that same corner on the aerial photo. And I'm going to match those 2 points up. And I am just kind of guessing here that it's about right there. So I'm going to click. And now you can see what it did. It moved that campus TIFF map, and those 2 points are sitting right on top of each other. Okay. So now hopefully what you can see what's going to happen, the more control points we add in, it's going to start to stretch out this picture and fit it in where it's supposed to go. Okay, so I'm going to pick a spot down here in the upper part of campus. For example, how about this corner on the Energy Institute? Okay, so I'm going to zoom in there. I'm going to grab my Add Control Points button. I'm going to click on this corner of the Energy Institute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out here. Keep zooming out. I'm using the roller ball on my mouse. And then also using the roller ball on my mouse, if you hold down that roller ball, it will pan for you. Or you can use the pan tool that's here in the toolbars that we're used to using. I'm going to go find that corner. And so here's that same corner, the Energy Institute. Let it draw here. Kind of taking a while. I might pause it here. Okay, there we go. Still drawing here. Okay. Now I'm going to match that corner up the best that I can. Alright. Now if I zoom out here, you can see that ArcGIS is now, again, it's stretching out this picture where it should go. Okay. Let me pick 2 more points here. So I'm going to pick one over here on the west side of campus. And you can turn off this image so you can see where you're at. Obviously the dorms, well, this one older dorm is still there. I'm going to use the corner of, I believe this is the library. So let me turn on my campus TIFF again. I'll use this corner here, so this would be the northwest corner of the library. I'm going to grab my Add Control Points tool. I'm going to click that point. I'm going to turn off the campus TIFF, and it's pretty darn close to where it should be. But if I zoom in a little bit, you can see, just need to move it just a hair. Okay? And you can see things are starting to match up pretty close. So I've got 3 control points in. You need to have at least 4, remember, when you georeference something. I think I'll go ahead and pick, let's do T-Bird Gym here. So I'm going to zoom in on that area. Again, I'm going to get my Add Control Points tool. I'm going to try to, actually let's do this Werner Tech. This is kind of a better defined corner here. I'm going to click the corner of Werner Tech. I'm going to turn off the campus TIFF. And again, it's already almost there. Just need to move it a tad more. And there we go. Okay. So you can see we've got our 4 control points in there, and it has stretched out the campus TIFF to fit probably pretty close to where it should go here, you know, on the Earth in using the GIS software. Again, this is georeferencing. Okay. A couple things I want to point out here is there's a button up here that says View Link Table. Okay. If we click on that and stretch this window out here, a couple of things I want to point out. Let's see here. These are the 4 control points, okay, that we've added, and you can highlight them. So this is point number 1. Notice when you highlight control point 1, it highlights it in yellow on the map. 2, 3, and 4. Okay, a couple other things. Now this is kind of getting into some statistics here, and I'm certainly not a statistics instructor, and I don't entirely, I'll be honest with you, I don't entirely understand this all, but basically what is going on here is there's a residual error for every control point that you add in, and basically that residual error measures how far off the control point was that you clicked on from the campus TIFF to the one you clicked on the world imagery, okay? And this is by pixel, okay? So a value of 1 would be 1 pixel, all right? You want to try to keep your residual and your total error at 1 or below 1 if you can, okay? So you can see here my residual error for point number 1 is 0.8. That's pretty good. That means I'm within less than a pixel of error, okay? Now, control point number 2 is at 1.3. Not bad, but it is over that 1 pixel, okay? Control point number 3, I'm under that 1 pixel. Control point number 4, now we're at 2.7, okay? So the 2 points are off by 2 and almost 2.5, well, over a little over 2.5 pixels, okay? Not bad, and then my overall residual error is 1.59, okay? Now if I wanted to get this under 1, I would probably highlight point number 4, and I would hit delete on my keyboard, and it would delete control point number 4, and I might redo that one. And I might redo point number 2 since it's over 1. Now, being that when I scan this image, I didn't use a very high DPI, I'm pretty darn happy with a RMS error of 1.59. That's pretty good for this. And I would say for this particular example, anything under, say, 3 or 4 is good. I would not redo it, and I would give a thumbs up for that and go on to the next part of the lab. Now, if you start to get stuff over 5, certainly over 10 or 15, I would delete that particular point and redo it. Okay, so given the DPI that I used for this scanned image, I'm pretty darn happy with a 1.59. All right. Okay, so we're happy with where our image is. Looks to be like it's pretty close to where we want it. The next thing we need to do is save this image with the projection that we're using right now, so that if we ever want to load this into ArcMap ever again, we won't have to georeference it anymore, and it'll pop right in exactly where we want it to pop in. Okay, so the last step here, once you're happy with your georeferencing, is to hit the georeferencing button, go to rectify. We need to tell it where to save this new image. So I'm going to hit the browse folder, and I want to save it in my week 7 folder. So I hit my up arrow and I highlighted week 7 and I click add. I want to save it. You can pick any kind of format you want. I'll just keep it in TIFF format, and then you can name it. So I'm going to call this old campus image. Okay. Click save, and it saved the image. And now what you can do is you can hit the add data button. Here it is in my week 7 folder, old campus image. I'm going to add that into my map. I'm going to delete the old one. Now let me point out one thing before I delete the old one. If I right click on the old campus TIFF and go to properties and go to source, notice under spatial reference, okay, it does say NAD 83 UTM. What does the new one say? NAD 83 UTM zone 13. Not sure why it says it shouldn't have a projection. Maybe it just gives it that once you project your data frame or once you start georeferencing. But at any rate, remove the old campus TIFF. Here you have the new one, and again, it will. Anytime you add this to any map, it will pop right in to where it's supposed to go. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do in your lab is I just want you to georeference this image, and then I want you to make a map of this area. There won't really be a legend for this map because the only thing we have in here is this old picture of campus, but that's the first map I want you to create. Some things you can do to kind of clean your map up is you can double click on the old campus image and go to symbology, and notice how it would be nice if we could take all of the pixels that are white in this image and make them clear so that we can see what's behind this better. Okay, so on a 0 to 256 color scale, which is what in the red, green, and blue bands, 0 is black and 255 is white. Okay, so what we're going to do here is go to the Symbology tab, click on Display Background Value Red, Green, and Blue, and we want to, in all 3 of those color guns, we want to take all the pixels that are white, which is everything that is 255, and we want to display them as no color. Once we do that and click OK, so what it did was it took every white pixel and it made them clear. So now you can see, you can look at the roads here, and you can see that our roads are pretty well matched up on the world imagery. So we did a pretty good job of georeferencing this old, I guess you could say now, historic map of campus. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. Let's see, week 7. I'll call it GeoReferencing. Okay, and then you would go ahead and make your map. All right. Again, this is how pictures or images that don't have a projection, this is how we tell the GIS software where in the world a picture or image exists. Okay, so if you found an old historic atlas and there was a picture of something or an old map that you wanted to put into GIS, how would you do it? You would take that old book or magazine, you would need to scan the map, and then you would bring it in, that scanned image, into ArcGIS and georeference it. Okay, and this is just an example of how to do that. So this is it for the georeferencing video. I'm going to make another video that I'll put on Moodle about the second part of the lab, which has to do with digitizing. Okay, all right, so thanks, and if you guys have any questions on this, make sure you get a hold of me.